Hello, everyone. This is BK International Talent Scout Take Two. I'm doing a broadcast in honor of my good friend, brother Darryl Williams. Man, I spent a lot of time with Darryl Williams. Diddy used to pour into me. He used to tell me, man, you gotta learn this stuff, BK. You gotta learn this stuff. So, Brother Darryl Williams, he had over 30 years in broadcasting experience. So, we would talk about church, and I was like, man, these churches, man, they need a church system. He started telling me about the video wall and everything. So, I could tell you a really cool story about working with Brother Darryl Williams. So, I just walked up to Pastor Carter. I said, I know a man. His name is Darryl Williams. This is what Dr. Larry Carter said to me. He said, you got it. Let's do it. So when you go to Good Hope Church of God in Christ and you see that big video screen, Brother Darryl Williams designed the whole system in order for them to have the big video screen. One of the first big video screens in Washington State, installed by a Christian black man who had a Christian company called Black Tie Communications. So, the inside story is that me and brother Darryl Williams sit down at his house, and I gave him the ideas and the concepts of the big screen. And if you go to Good Hope and you see the remote control cameras, those were my ideas, and he kind of took me to the catalog. We picked out the equipment, we designed the whole thing together um, to serve Good Hope. The reason why we picked remote control cameras because we were designing the system that one person could run the system as opposed to just getting cameras where people have to be on the camera. So we installed and did the measurements and talked to Pastor Carter. It was a great, great project, one of the first ones in the Pacific Northwest. He would always say, BK, we do commercial, we don't do consumer stuff. We only buy commercial gear. So he would drill that into my head because a lot of people they try to run out and get the big screen televisions and throw those up on the wall and think that they got it going. You ain't got it going. Got to be commercial grade stuff. Lasts longer. You can do add-ons. So, Brother Darryl Williams, what a great guy. What a great friend. Oh my God. We spent hours together, hours, just talking about broadcasting, talking about video productions for churches, and just, I think one of our first conversations we had on the phone, he said, I'm a man of integrity, and you know me. I said, you're a man of integrity? He said, yeah. He said, I'm a man of integrity, BK. I said, integrity is not something you say, integrity is something that you show. And so we worked on several different projects together. And he would say, I don't know what it is about you, but you sure know how to talk to people and you sure know how to get projects in place. I'm a little unorthodox. But man, he was a great man of God. He loved his wife, he loved his kids, and he just loved pouring into people. Anytime he would meet someone that wanted to know about how to do video production, he would spend time with them. He even did a youth project with Rainier Beach at Rainier Beach School where he taught whole classroom kids how to do video production. He's done that several times with several different organizations. I even think he did it for the Union Gospel Mission School kids too. So he poured into a lot of youth. He had over 30 years in broadcasting experience. Man, the day I found out that Brother Darryl Williams went to heaven, I was like in total shock, man. Total shock because he had spent so much time, and then those words is like, man, you gotta learn this stuff, BK. He would show me how to pick out equipment, show me how to price equipment, show me how to research equipment. He would just show me a lot of stuff. He would give me insights to his 30 years in broadcasting, which would enhance my ability because I was trying to translate his high technical knowledge and try to translate that to pastors and community leaders so that they could understand it. He would be way out there. He would be way out there. I said, Brother Darryl, you can't talk to these people like that. They don't even understand what you're saying. We got to talk to people so they can understand what we're saying. Man, what great times we had. Oh my God, he loved the Lord. He loved to go to church. He loved to pray. Man, then when he passed away, man, what a sad, man, I was sad. I was in shock. My friend Faith, she didn't even want to tell me. His wife called me up and told me, and I was in total shock. She was in total shock. Um, man, she was so angry. Yeah, after he passed away, his wife, his before he passed away, his wife used to always tell Brother Darryl, you better be nice to Brian and do him right. Don't be doing him wrong. She said that every week we leave the house. She said, Brother Darryl, you better be nice to Brian and don't do Brian wrong. He's a nice guy, so just to go over his house and eat dinner. And she is really nice, but man, after he passed away, man, his wife was mean. She was so angry. But anyway, man, I gotta go through these 10 compassionate principles of going through the grieving process. I need to do this in about 10 minutes so there can be some understanding because you may lose a loved one, a friend, associate, a church member, a pastor. You need to know how to cope with your grieving processes. Code number one, you have a right to experience your own unique grief. No one can tell you how to grieve, but I can tell you this, don't get stuck in the middle of your grief. Go through the grieving process, embrace it fully so that you come out on the other end. Don't get stuck in the middle, eh? You go through a trial, but don't get stuck in the middle of the trial. Go through grief and don't get stuck in the middle of grief. I can't say the people's names, but there have been some people. I know this one lady, like her husband passed away, and I like used to send her Christmas cards, really try to encourage her, but man, she is so. Sometimes people can get so wrapped up in the people that pass away that they end up passing away too. I think if she would have fully embraced and fully went through the grieving process and got married again, I believe that that sister would be alive. Another sister in the Lord kind of sort of didn't let go. You know, she got a divorce. After she got a divorce, the other person went on and got married. She kept wearing her wedding ring. She kept believing God. She got sick and passed away. Wait, no, this is what I believe. I believe if she would have went through the grieving process of divorce and went on and got married to somebody else, and you gotta have a reason to live. So hey, go through the grieving process, but don't get stuck in the middle of the process. You have a right to talk about your grief. Yeah, you gotta talk about your grief like to a grief counselor, a chaplain, a minister, or a friend. You gotta talk about your grief, your loss to someone, whether you lose your job, you go through a divorce. You know, even when you break up with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your intimate partner, whatever, you're going through a grieving process. And you need to talk about that thing. And you have a right to feel a multitude of emotions, all kind of emotions. And like when my sister passed away, or when Brother Darryl passed away, Walter Finch passed away. All these great people just like passed away out of my life. I experienced all these emotions: confusion, numbness, disorientation, fear, guilt, relief, or just a few emotions. Sometimes I would be angry. Like when my sister passed away, I was just like straight mad, straight angry. I After my sister passed away, I didn't want to live. I was just like, okay, my sister's gone. I was like, there's no reason to be on earth. I had to get a hold of myself. I had to change my thought process. I had to think differently. My brother Tony kind of helped me with that, man. Yeah. So when people pass away, you want to experience their grief. You want to experience the grief. You want to embrace grief, but you don't want to get stuck in the middle of grief, uh, because you want to live. So they become alive in your memory. All the great things that they did for you, you'll never forget them. You'll never forget the person. Here's another key: people that pass away want you to feel, want you to be sad or go through the grieving process, but they don't want you to give up living. They don't want you to give up loving. They don't want you to give up trying. They want you to go on with your life and be the best that you can be. They want to be fond memories. They want to be motivation. They want to be love, but they don't want you to get stuck in your grief. They don't want you to get stuck in your sorrow. They want you to live and live, live, live. Live and tell about how great they are in your life. Live and tell the story of how much love you had for them and you for them and what you learned from them. Man, the other one is you have a right to be emotional, experience your emotions, embrace your emotions. Your feelings of loss will probably leave you feeling fatigued. Respect your body and your mind are telling you. Get daily rest, eat balanced meals, and don't allow others to push you into doing things that you don't feel ready to do. Yeah, sometimes you don't want to eat, you can't sleep because you're crying and thinking about the loss. But you got to have a daily regimen. You got to push through. Understand your body, get your rest, eat a balanced diet, do fun things that make you feel alive because you don't want that thing to overtake you. You want to embrace it, but you don't want grief to overtake you. You don't want the emotions to overtake you. Grief bursts are when you just bust out, start crying, or you see something that reminds you of your lost one. You feel something, you hear something, you smell something, and you just have a full, complete grief burst. Oh my God. Like I go to Madison Temple and Michael's sister walks in church and I'm just having a grief burst right in church looking at his sister because his sister reminded me of my sister Gloria because they're like both light skinned, they both built the same, they both got the same look, and I'm just having a grief burst in church. And I'm just like staring at her. She's probably like, dang, why is Brian? He's just looking at me. So now when I go to church, I get excited to see her because she reminds me of her sister and Michael. I'm always glad to see Michael at church and stuff. So I go to Madison Temple, Church of God in Christ. You know, my sister got married there. Saddest day of my life when my sister got married and moved away. Anyway, I'm at number 6. You have the right to make use of rituals, or you have a right to celebrate someone's life. You have a right to do something in honor of them. You have a right to do tribute to them. You have a right to live. You have a right to celebrate. You have a right to think of them greatly in your memory. You have a right to embrace your spirituality, knowing that people are in a better place, knowing that people are in a safe place, knowing that people are in a peaceful place. Oh man, what it does for your soul, right? What it does for your soul, my goodness. Um, you have a right to search for meaning, right? You may find yourself asking, why did this happen? Why did they transition? Why? Sometimes you got to search for the why. Sometimes you got to search for the meaning. Sometimes you just got to accept it even though you don't want to accept it. You have a right to treasure the memories. This is Tony always talking to me. Hey man, our sister's gone, but she's in our memories. Hey man, our sister's gone, we can still celebrate her. Hey man, our sister's gone, but she lived a full, complete life. Retired from her job, stayed married to her husband, raised her kids until they were all grown. Amazing, 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 amazing. You have a right to move from grief to healing. That's right. You want to move your grief to the healing process. Once you fully have grieved the loss, then you want to move toward healing. Some people get stuck in the middle and they never move toward healing. They never move to relationship. They never get married again. They never want to change again. They never want to evolve again. But you have that right as an individual. When people leave your life, however they leave your life, you have a right to stop and grieve, embrace the grief, understand the grief, celebrate the grief. But then you must, at some point in your mind, go, I'm taking my grief to healing. I'm taking my grief to rejoicing. I'm taking my grief to celebrating. And so, man, I just celebrate knowing that I had a great friend in Brother Darryl Williams. I got it, Brother Darryl. I'm learning this stuff. I got a whole new team, Brother Darryl. Took 3 people to replace you, man. So, hey, I got these things I've done. I couldn't do these things for like 2 or 3 years, man. But I've got one. I did one for Walter Finch. I did one for Brother Darryl Williams. I even think I did one for my sister Gloria. Gotta find the picture. Anyway, man, I'm, I, there's 10 steps to getting through compassionate grief process principles, which I've read and shared with you, which came out of a book called A Journey Through Grief Reflections on Healing. So, hey, man, I just had to do that. I'm out of here. Hey, whoever's listening, hello. Pray for me. I'm just sharing from my heart. I love you. And we'll see you next week.